Well, somehow we made it. This is the second episode. I guess we're really doing this. Okay. I'd first off just like to start by, usually just thanking everyone, saying, thanks to everyone that watched the last episode and enjoyed it. Obviously, everything isn't going to come out or look as perfect. Every shot is not going to look great. But I'm trying my best. You guys still support this for some reason, so I'll keep making them. But anyways, this episode's going to be a little shorter. And a little more on the not family friendly side. So if you have kids in the room, you might want to push them to the side. But this past weekend, a couple of teams that were playing lost by teams that were inferior to them. And that's kind of be the main point of the episode. So let's get on with the episode. Yeah! Listen up, chuckle fucks. Lamar Jackson won the Ravens a playoff game. Yeah! Yeah, no. But, on a more serious and in-depth note, the Ravens were the fourth team to play this weekend, so we'll get to them later. There's a lot of other teams we have to look at and stacked up. My picks for last weekend, as a reminder, were the Bills, the Rams, because golf was active, the Bucks, the Ravens, the Saints, and the Steelers. First up was the human torture contraption that was watching the Bills defense against Phillip Rivers, a man whose throwing motion alone can cause nations to fall. The Bills defense looked shallow and really unable to cover any pass thrown 7 and 12 yards in that mid-range area. But besides from that margin, they played great against shallow and deep coverages against the pass, but they really were not able to do much against that touted legendary Colts offensive line, which just lost left tackle Anthony Costanzo to retirement, and Jonathan Taylor, who slowly grinded out drives and possessions for them. However, the refs not knowing how downed by contact works, it was a fumble. Phillip Rivers just couldn't stay in it, meaning that the Bills are moving on. Second game Sunday, Rams Seahawks. You follow me on Instagram or Snapchat, you will know that I called this last week. The holy words of God, me, obviously, were as follows. Goff got the start, Rams got the win. A nice upset that was fueled by a nearly unstoppable pass rush, even without Aaron Donald for most of the second half, and a great running attack by rookie Cam Akers gave the Rams a chance to take giving the Rams a chance to take a swing at the Packers in that divisional round matchup that we'll be seeing. And the Buccaneers, you gotta hope that Heineke is the guy and is actually an NFL starting caliber quarterback, or else you might have trouble with another, lesser known guy, Drew Brees, next week. I said this game is going to be a close one between the football team and the Buccaneers, and I don't really know how they stayed in it till the end, but they did, so props to them. Titans, they need an offense besides Derrick Henry. You cannot rely on him to go for 120 and a score every single game like you could last year. And for all my fellow Ravens fans who said that Derrick would be too much, you could not have been more wrong. Somehow the god-awful Ravens run defense was able to stifle the Titans run game and passing game at the same time. Lamar Jackson led the game in passing and rushing and was able to overcome a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter 10-point deficit to win a playoff game. And this actually is really bad for the sports journalism world because they no longer have a young quarterback to slander. So the question is, who is next? Is it going to be Herbert? Watson? Maybe Tua? Saints, you did exactly what I thought you were going to do. Started out slow, not controlled the game until the third quarter. Why would you even make the Bears look like they remotely had a shot? The best part about this game wasn't even the game itself. Everyone knew the Saints was going to win. The best part of the game was the Nickelodeon live stream, dude. From the slime cannons in the end zone to comparing Alvin Kamara with Alvin and the Chipmunks, and young Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory and young Sheldon respectively explaining all of the penalties, it might have been the greatest 2.5 hours I've sat down and watched a game of football since the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012. And lastly, the final game of the weekend was the Steelers and the Browns, and let me start this off with a message to Juju Smith-Schuster. Why? Why? You had to just go and run your mouth again. You should have handled the Browns, but no. First was the dancing on the logos while you were winning. No problem with that. Then it's doing it while losing. then it's saying that, then it's having an opposing safety say they're going to quote-unquote rock the shit out of you, and then actually getting the shit rocked out of you by a pissed-off Bengals defense. Now, I'm starting to fear that the Steelers' cancerous locker room might have finally broken him, and TikTok Boy is just going to become another entry into the book of Big Ben scapegoats. But even if that does happen, at least they still have Chase Claypool. Jesus, Chase! As for next week, the Rams and the Packers open up the divisional round, and give me the Packers in this game, but I expect a close one. I can definitely see the Packers doing that same old thing. Hey, let's make our offense look terrible against any half-decent defense or better. And blow the game somehow. But as for the Rams, they just need to do what the Ravens did. Run the football and play good defense, and you'll be able to take down a juggernaut. Speaking of the birds, the Ravens moved north to Buffalo with a possible snow game, with a cold front moving in. The Bills are nothing to scoff at, especially when your Golden Goose #1 lockdown corner and Marlon Humphrey has not been playing well. And Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen working together, it's definitely going to be Marcus Peters that's going to have to step it up. Contain Josh Allen, don't give up deep balls, and you might have a date with Kansas City. Bills, don't lose this one. I'd love to slander Bills, like the Bills on Instagram, like I did with the Titans, but the Bills have decency, and I respect them. So, because they're a good team, and they did a rebuild the right way. Cleveland, somehow, I could not tell you. No, I got nothing. I said either team could win this game, and you did. Now it is time for you to roll up in a ball, go to the corner, and cry your way out of the season as Mahomes tears your secondary apart. But wait, do you hear that? A terrible Kansas City defense and a potent Cleveland running game? Ladies and gentlemen, the Browns might have a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously this is a stretch. I don't think the Browns are going to win, and the Chiefs should win. But if the Browns dominate the run, control the clock, and they play the same defense they played against the Steelers, you never know. If they can stop Mahomes and company before they get cooking, it might be an interesting season for the Browns, to say the least. As for the Chiefs, just do that thing where you don't suck and you'll be fine, probably. And maybe have your center take a couple extra reps in practice. A couple extra reps in practice this week. Brady's obviously getting his fabled rematch with the Saints this week. And I think it's going to go differently than the last one. Obviously, Tom Brady is very good at slicing defenses, and the Saints are not very pass defense heavy. However, the Buccaneers are 0-2 against the Saints this season, and this matchup very well could make that 0-3. As for my game picks, Packers, Ravens, home team pick, gotta go with it, Chiefs and Bucks. As I did for the teams that missed the playoffs last week, let's break down what happened with those who were eliminated on wildcard weekend. Bears, you should have not been here to begin with. The Cardinals and Kyler Murray deserved this wildcard spot, and this game was over before it even began. The defense looked good for the first 3 quarters, but the offense stalled too much and kept giving Drew Brees the ball back. As for coaching, gut it, restart it. Nagy is not what you thought you were getting, and it shows on offense. Colts, I really didn't think you had a realistic chance, but good job nonetheless. You gave the Bills a hell of a game, and you should have pulled it through, bearing a missed field goal and a couple of suspect 2-point attempts. Good job, though. You guys put up a hell of an effort. Seahawks, holy hell. Where do I start with you guys? Your horrendous offensive line got demolished by Aaron Donald and his wrecking crew. Your run game was horrendous, and the defense could not stop anything from Cam Akers. Jamal Blitzboy Adams, tried to kill a backup quarterback by taking an illegal helmet-to-helmet shot. Former MVP candidate Russell Wilson was cooking with vegetable oil in an open flame, which only leads to one thing: a grease fire that burns down the house. There's a reason why Lamar Jackson has more MVP votes than him. Football team, same boat as the Colts. No one really thought you were going to win this game, but you played like hell and gave your opponent and America a hell of a game to watch. However, you came up just short because of a couple little mistakes, and this Heineke guy might be the future. But let Alex Smith play while he still can, because he deserves to. Titans. Oh, Titans, am I going to enjoy this one. Derrick Henry. Queen Henry was stopped and hit before the line of scrimmage on 11 out of his 18 carries on Sunday. Tannehill was outthrown by a running back, and Mike Vrabel was outcoached by the NFL's new all-time leader in road playoff wins. As a Ravens fan, I'm about to slander the hell out of the Titans, so if you would love to just skip this whole part, there's a timestamp down there that you can skip to, and I won't blame you. Lamar Jackson fathered this Titans defense. Besides for a rough interception, it was kind of just a throw up 50-50 ball to Miles Boykin that he kind of bailed a little on to Malcolm Butler. Over 300 total yards, consistently completing passes outside the sticks to Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews. The option was cooking with Dobbins, and he was gashing with short bursts of power. The Titans defense had nothing, and the offense was not any better. Tannehill got smoked, was forced to throw against zone coverage, and he was stifled in his upside as a decent runner and was consistently pressured. The Ravens may have only accumulated one sack, but it came when they really needed it most. The Titans defense out-sacked the Ravens, but were unable to really pick up big stops when they needed to down the stretch. As I stated last week, the Ravens could A, stop Derrick Henry, and B, get stops on the field enough, they would win. Look what happened. Stopping on the Titans logo was not enough. Go for the throats next time. Go Birds. Finally, the Steelers. You talked so much shit through your actions, your words, your TikTok dancings. It's only fitting that Juju caps off your season by shoving a verbal knife into your back. The Browns is the Browns. I genuinely don't think that rookie year press conference Lamar Jackson could have said something that uncomprehensible or unintelligent. No offense to him. Juju just needs to shut up and play some damn football. The only game they won against the Colts, they thought they could go back to Corvetting, but forgot how to deactivate easy schedule cruise control and accidentally let a red-hot Browns team into the playoffs. I said last week that the winner of this game was not going to go in and win again, but I also thought that this game was going to be Bills-Steelers. And the Browns defense looked immaculate and has the potential to shut down Mahomes if they play better than what they did against the Steelers. Because we all know Mahomes just wants to air it out deep. Cover deeps, make tackles in the flats. Eventually Mahomes is going to get greedy and take a deep shot, capitalize off them, force turnovers. The Steelers just need to pray that Big Ben leaves this season before he absorbs a whopping $41 million in cap this offseason. And there's other football going on, obviously. The college football season just capped out with a rout of the Ohio State Buckeyes at the extent of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Ohio State never stood a chance after the first quarter, and while this wasn't a game I watched too much of, I can give a fairly good summary of what happened. The Justin Fields that we saw demolish Clemson's defense was forced to become their superstar and carry the entire offense. And while he has been doing this, and this may not sound new, Sermon, their running back, was unable to carry some of the load. He went out early in the first quarter with a shoulder injury, and that kind of just roadblocked their offense. Fields was the leading passer and rusher for that team. And while an agile quarterback leading his team in rushing and passing versus a solid team with a good pocket passer with center mobility, a star physical speedster, wide out, and a massive running back who plows through defenses for Alabama. Where have I heard this before? Sorry, Ravens, last Sunday, my bad. It didn't go as planned as the Buckeyes. Ryan Day was really unable to pull together some decent play calling. And the Ohio State we saw looked nothing like the team we saw beat Clemson earlier. Consider Trevor Lawrence a Jaguar. And speaking of draft prospects, it's time for the draft update. Pro Football Focus, as unreliable of sources as they are, has three quarterbacks going back to back to back in their latest mock draft. Lawrence at 1, Wilson at 2, and Fields at 3. This is a very aggressive take on that number 3 overall pick from the Dolphins. This is assuming that the Dolphins, A, can't sway the Texans into giving them Watson for Tua and maybe a first-round pick. And it also means that they decided that Tua's not the guy after only about a third of a season of a sampling size. And believe that Fields is just a better all-around option. It's interesting to say the least. Another man who had a massive game Monday night, Devonta Smith. MVP of the championship game. Impressive 3-touchdown performance. Makes him a prime candidate for the Eagles or the Giants. Or maybe the Falcons if they were to deal Julio away and go with Smith to complement Ridley. The last pick I really do want to talk about is the Vikings. Quarterback or defense? There's really no way around it. While the defense didn't look terrible and had up and down moments all year, Kirk Cousins looked bad. It might be for the Vikings to grab a new quarterback, and even if you let him sit behind Cousins for a year or two, it still improves your future by having a quarterback cooking in the back. Again, one of the better play action passers we've seen out of the last 5 years. But as for this week, that's all I've got in store for you today. A little shorter, not as many games going on. And these episodes are only going to continue to get shorter as we go on, as I'm going to start mainly covering football. But I'm Edward DiMaria, and this is the Fourth Quarter Sports Podcast. I will see you next Wednesday. Adios!